Tony, it's lovely to see you here at Collectormania today. How are you enjoying it so far?
It's extraordinary. This is my first time in Milton Keynes. I've done several shows in London. I did Birmingham twice and a couple of things in London proper, Wembley Stadium once, but it's always good to come and see a collective group of fans and people who appreciate the work that all of these guests do and actually come up and tell you, and that means all the things in the world. When somebody actually takes the time to appreciate what we do as artists, what more can you want? And actually have dialogue. Too many artists in the past left us without anybody really telling them to their face how much their particular things have impacted them.
And when you look back over your career, what are the highlights for you?
Being born. Love that moment. Came out kicking and screaming. I was raised by a single mom who instilled in me a sense of pride. I didn't even know we were poor until I was around 13. But somehow she was a house cleaner, domestic. And somehow we always had a plate full of food. I had a big growth spurt when I was in high school, and she supported that. And more importantly, she always told me I could be whatever I wanted to be. And every summer she would put me in a different program, from the Boy Scouts to geology classes to science fairs. Every summer I had a different activity that was structured. And one time she put me in a public speaking forum. And once that happened, I discovered the power of the voice, and it coincided with my lack of an athletic ability. I was totally uncoordinated because of the growth spurt. And one day an English teacher said, why don't you try reading this? And she gave me a copy of Shakespeare's Tempest. And I went home and I read it, and it was like watching one of those 3D books. You open it and it just springs to life. It was such vivid writing and such powerfully stimulated, imaginative wanderings. I said, wow. I immediately ran out and auditioned for the drama club. Didn't get that role, but they said I could help backstage. And I was a curtain puller. But I was a dedicated curtain puller, and I just loved to ring that. Sometimes I put the curtain down while people were still performing. And I said, get it up, get it up, get it up. And next production I got, and then that was it. I was hooked. Performing in front of my peers, because I was a shy kid and I was a stutterer. And just communicating and finding that joy, that passion. I think that applies to everybody, whether it's acting or directing, writing, whatever, painting, sculpturing. You got to find that passion, that thing that inspires you, that you know you can do well, and that you're not afraid of trying.
What did your mum think then after the programs that she put you in when you got your first role?
Well, she was proud of me even when I was doing plays in high school. She was the first person in the center of the front row. I went to university, dropped out. She wasn't too happy with that, but she gave me about 2 years to get my life together before. I have a lot of police officers in my family. And during that time, they used to come for Thanksgiving and said, "So why do you want to be an actor? Why don't you just join the police force?" And I said, "Because I don't want to kill people." And finally, I went back to university. Got my master's in theater. Got my equity card, which is the union for theatricals in the States. And she saw that, and then, she even came to me when I was doing my master's program, I was writing and stuff. Finally, I got Platoon, which was my first movie. I remember calling her, it was a Monday, it was raining on Fifth Avenue in New York. And I said, I got a movie. I was dancing in the street like Gene Kelly, I got a movie. And she says, great, where do you have to go? I said, the Philippines. She hung up the phone. It took me 3 weeks to convince her that I was going to be safe. Did it, and then of course I became her smiling baby boy again.
When you look back over your career, which are the films that kind of stand out for you that you've enjoyed the most as an experience?
Well, I enjoy them all, even the bad ones. I mean, they're all, you never know going in whether it's going to be good or not, no? Fortunately, more than 75% of them have been memorable. There's been a few clunkers, but even that you learn from. Platoon stands out because it was my first film. It had an incredible cast. Half of us, it was our first foray into film. People like Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe, Keith David, Forrest Whitaker, Corey Glover. We were just excited to be making this thing by this magical madman, Oliver Stone, who was dedicated and fearless and taught us that. And then, Candyman came along, Star Trek came along. I always go back to theater, though. I just finished a play at the Denver Theater Center by Marcus Gardley, who's the next great playwright, directed by Che Yu, who's artistic director of Victory Garden. 48 solid, straight standing ovations. That cannot compete with film because it's improv. It goes away. It's in the moment. It's right there, and then it's gone. Film lasts forever, even the bad ones. You can't get rid of it. Most of it, I'm happy that it's there. Oh, I know. A recent standout was when I did. I'm a video gamer, so when they called me to do Call of Duty Black Ops 2, made me sign a contract saying I could not talk about it to family, friends, anybody, strangers, under the suffrage of death. And for 4 months, I couldn't talk about what everybody knew was going to be the biggest single solid release in video game history. And finally, there it was. And seeing yourself digitized is an awesome, frightening Twilight Zone-like experience. Because now my emotions are in some memory bank somewhere, and I can go away and they can do what they want.
Isn't it? I mean, as a fan as well, as you said, you're a video gamer. What was it like, kind of, first of all, being asked to be in it and then seeing the final product?
It was the first campaign of that I actually finished. I was determined to finish because I wanted to see every single. It's interesting. I worked on it for 4 months actually. And the campaign doesn't last that long. So I have 10-year-old kids going, oh, yeah, I love you now. So how long did it take you to finish? About 3 hours. Children have the innate ability to just not think like adults where we think about possibilities to just barrel through, right? So, and also doing video gaming, you have these points of light all over your body, which is basically a Navy SEAL suit, no pockets, and a big tennis ball on your head, and like they told me each one of the dots costs $35, something like that. And it's like 365 on you, and you're in a room surrounded by 262 cameras. So every movement you do is choreographed, and there's no props. There's only you and a few other actors, and all that other stuff is later on after. It's a little backwards, but try to make it believable.
And you mentioned Candyman, of course, earlier, and still a film that people love so much. Incredible film. Why do you think, after all those years, 20 plus years, it still has a place in people's hearts?
I think it's a movie. Whether it's anything, it's got a story. It's got a beginning, middle, and end, and it opens with the most incredible lines in horror history. What's blood for if not for shedding? It's also a gothic love story, and I think that resonates. People talk about the being frightened, scared, but there's something about it. There's something real about it that makes you frightened, And also, people deep down like to be feared, but not in the jokey way that's mostly prevalent. I mean, Candyman is not about jokes. And we had a great combination. Clive Barker, Bernard Rose, our director, Tony Richmond, all from England. Philip Glass. The chemistry between myself and Virginia Madsen. It was just a series of things that connected.
Tell us a little bit about your experience behind the scenes of filming Candyman.
Well, at that time, I was doing I did a lot of active research. I was into creating storybooks, and Virginia and I had ballroom dancing lessons and horseback riding and fencing to try to capture that gothic thing that we then brought into the work. I was also, I had just done Night of the Living Dead, the remake, so I had my first lead role, and my son was born, and that was important. Just attention to detail. I mean, people kept telling me, oh, this role's going to change your life. Some people said, oh, you might not live it down. I said, no, that's not true. They underestimate me.
I mean, how did you find things changed after that?
It didn't hit immediately. I mean, the movie was a hit, but then it didn't hit me till like 2 years after it, and my daughter and I were shopping, Christmas shopping, and people kept running up. And to this day, I pinch myself because I never got that thing. Oh, I'm all that. I'm just happy to be doing that, and people kept coming up. Well, Candyman. And she was like 4, and she says, dropped her little shopping bag. That's not Candyman. That's my dad. And that resonated so much with me because it made keeping it real. Yeah, this is my job. I have an attractive job, but at the end of the day, you have to be a man first or a person first. You have to love your family, and love your friends, and cherish the things that are really important.
Now, you mentioned also that people have been talking to you about Transformers today as well. I mean, what is it about that world, do you think, that attracts people?
It's childhood memories. You know, it's based on a toy that people have played, and the whole thing of the magical thing. I study magic. The whole thing of something being one thing and then changing into something else. And then also the clicking in the pots and pans, the primalness of that. And everybody likes the world being threatened and destroyed in a fictitious way. Sometimes we come dangerously close to pushing the envelope, and I hope that never happens in all of our lifetimes. But politics aside, we just have to keep playful.
Now, what was your experience of working on that behind the scenes?
Michael Bay, who had hired me for The Rock 10 years previously, he had always told me we'd work together again, and he kept his word. And he called me one day and said, "How would you like to destroy the universe?" And the rest is history. It's I do a lot of vocal acting these days too. And somebody asked me, "Well, how's that different?" And you have to isolate the joy and find the joy without having your face and your physical presence. It's about, like, I'm developing a thing about a cat. I rescue cats. I have a cat named Cat Daddy Nico, and he speaks like boots on the ground, tails up, bootsy wootsy, tails up and boots on the ground. That kind of stuff. So you find, you just let it go and find it. Be a kid. The interesting thing about all my roles, I was a single kid, so in my backyard I played aliens, I played cowboys, I played robots, played people in spaceships, and it's all come true in my pirates and my adult life. And that's the greatest gift of all. Keeps one young, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Tony, it's been absolutely delightful talking to you. Thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure. Don't forget Sushi Girl out there, folks. The first film I produced, starring Mark Hamill, Noah Hathaway, myself. It's a gangster film. Google it. You'll find out about it, and it's available. I have a Twitter account. Just started using it. Tony Todd 54. You can keep up with all the upcoming stuff and connect with fans and friends internationally.
We'll definitely look out for that. Thanks so much, Tony.
Thank you.